Hello and welcome to the Get My Parts webinar on increasing your sales. We will talk about 4 quick, easy ways to increase your sales, and then we will discuss the GMP platform, the Get My Parts platform. My name is Chris Wisniewski. I am the CEO and founder of Get My Parts, and I have been involved in the HVAC business since 1994. I have been in the construction, the plan and spec, the service, the sales portion of it, so I would consider myself pretty knowledgeable, especially on the contractor side. Before we head right into the webinar, let's talk about some basic housekeeping rules. You can type in any questions you have using the text box below. Your questions will be answered at the end of the webinar. Details to schedule a personal demo will be shared after we demo the platform at the end of this webinar here. So let's just please go ahead with the webinar, and everything else will be handled right afterwards. Thank you. First and foremost, everything I will speak about revolves around you keeping accurate records. There is nothing more important than having CRM software. For those of you who don't know what CRM is, it's customer relationship management. You'd be surprised. I go around the country and speak to contractors, and there are so many that don't have it, and yet so many too that do not understand what it even is. With CRM, you will get all the information you need on one screen. You'll be able to sell faster, spend less time digging through spreadsheets and more time selling. There are tons of other reasons why having clear and accurate records is extremely important. But the most benefit you will get is when you combine your CRM with all your other operations. In my company, it's linked to all of my operations software: dispatching, scheduling, invoicing, history of customer work. It's all in there, so that database that you have makes sense and you start targeting the right people for the right reasons. What do I mean by that? It means that you have a record of what work you did, what type of work you did, when you did it for a previous customer. That database of your customers should not be in a vacuum. It should have some meaning behind it. So let's get right to it. The most important sales are repeat sales. Again, the most important sales are repeat sales. Any good salesperson can get you the one job, but to get a customer that comes back over and over speaks volumes about the value of your company. You need to build customer relationships. Reach out and just stay in touch with your customers. You need to focus on retention strategies of your customers. Acquiring a new customer is 6 to 7 times costlier than retaining an existing customer. Also, part of having a good customer retention strategy is having a good employee retention strategy. Customers will keep coming back to the same voices and the same faces they are used to. Well, it's great to say, how do you do it? I mean, here's a couple of ways to do it. Satisfy your customers with product quality. I think we all know what that means. It's the service work. It's the way your work looks. In the HVAC industry, there's a lot of different ways you could show that product quality. Next is building loyalty by exceeding expectations and building opportunities for repeat business. A generation ago, customer loyalty was a different game. Today's customers are quick to switch to the competition. Remember, your competitors are only a mouse click away. Be acutely responsive to customer questions, comments, and complaints. Yeah, that's right. You got to answer their complaints. Often, these are your most loyal customers. If you resolve complaints quickly, you can actually grow quickly. You can also drive product development to offer more value for less cost. And yes, 64% of customers consider the customer experience to be more important than the price of a product. And I will repeat it again. 64%, that's more than half of your customers care about how they are treated, what that experience is like versus paying for that price. So how do we reach out to the customers? Well, most important is your software. Again, your database, your records. Do you know when you last serviced a customer? What work you did there? What was your last conversation about? Well, this is where record keeping and software will help you out. When a customer calls my company, at a single screen, the call taker can see all of this information: the service history, the amount invoiced and paid, the last call, the series of email communications. All are important to understand your customer. So let's start with this. Go through your service records and get in touch with your customers who potentially haven't used you in a while or who perhaps had repeat repairs needed. Maybe it's time for a new system or a more permanent solution to their constant troubles. This is the opportunity. Next is go through your service records and see what you did for them. See if they need that service again. See if it's a repeat service they always get. Maybe get ahead of the game. Maybe they always call you once a year for some kind of a filter change and it's perhaps a time it's sort of due but not due yet. You can be the one initiating that call versus them initiating the call. When you get in touch with them, this is also that opportunity when you may tell them about other services that you provide. You would be surprised at how many residential customers had no idea that someone who fixes their AC also fixes their heat. Yeah, I know it's preposterous to us thinking HVAC stands for what we do, but the customer doesn't put that together. You have to remind your customers about all the services you do, and obviously besides heating and cooling, a lot of contractors do far more services than that. You guys do plumbing, some do electrical, all kinds of other services. You have to get in front of them and tell them everything you offer because you cannot assume that they understand what you offer, and secondly, they don't remember everything you offer either. So get in front of them and explain the services you do all the time. Next is warranty calls. Warranty calls are a great way to just get in touch with a customer with a purpose in mind. Whenever we get bulletins from manufacturers, we contact all the sites where we have that equipment, and we basically, offer the service free because that's what warranty is. So who doesn't want a free service, especially when you tell them it's a safety issue or anything like that? Well, this is an opportunity to have dialect again with the customer. Let them know you're out here. If they need you, let them know of other services you provide. While you're at the customer's site, you have your techs inspect other items and let them know about other potential issues. So again, it's opportunity. Yes, you are expending real tangible money by going out there. It's a free call, but it's an opportunity to find other stuff. And when you go out for a call for, let's just say, some kind of an air switch, it's a quick 10-minute thing, but then you notice the coil, you notice the filter, you notice other components. And just by the rule of numbers, you will find an opportunity at some point to upsell more. Again, you have to think of it as an opportunity, not an expense. It's how you view it. A phone call or an email would get you only so far, but this again is an invite for you to be right in front of the customer. So view that warranty issue as a real golden nugget here that you found. You get to be in front of the customer again. It's actually, when played right, it's actually a perfect way to communicate with the customer. Use it wisely. Okay, next we have segmenting your customer database. What does that mean? Again, I will stress the importance of good software so you have the ability to do this. Why do you need to segment your contacts? One of the most common ways that you'll be using your contact database is to email them. Most people who unsubscribe from emails do so because the content is no longer relevant to them. Segmenting is all about understanding and grouping your customer database so that you keep your communications with them relevant to increase engagement and avoid being considered as spam. Understanding what your customers are interested in and grouping them by these interests will help you to communicate more effectively. If you target your email to a specific customer profile via a database segment of that audience with great content that is important to them, your email will be rewarded with a higher open rate and many more click-throughs. This is especially important if you deal with more than just residential customers. Obviously, you need to differentiate between residential and commercial, but also what kind of commercial is it? The interest criteria of a restaurant will be way different than a doctor's office. And now, the GetMyParts demo. What is GetMyParts? GetMyParts is a marketplace for the HVAC industry. Anyone buying parts and anyone trying to sell those parts is essentially brokered on our platform. For the HVAC service providers such as contractors, technicians, maintenance engineers, Get My Parts is a way for you to find your parts and get multiple bids on it. And for anyone selling parts, it's just another avenue for you to sell more. What Get My Parts should be used for is when you're trying to find those hard to get OEM specialty parts. This is the perfect solution. But essentially, if anyone wants to sell generic parts or any other parts that you are overstocked with, this is a platform. Even if you're a technician who's got parts that you will never use or older parts that on equipment you may not even encounter and you just want to sell it, it's essentially an eBay type platform for HVAC parts. So everything I will be speaking about can be found on GetMyParts.us. All one word, no spacing, no underscore, GetMyParts.us. I'll be showing you screenshots here. This is a revamped new skin on our website that we are just getting. So if during the webinar, if you happen to go to Get My Parts right now, not all the screens may look like this, but essentially in several days' time, they probably will. So this is a very easy procedure. When you get to the website, you will have buttons up here that says login and register now. Obviously, if you've never had a login before, you never registered, you need to register now. You press this button, you get taken to two different types of accounts you choose. You either choose to be a buyer or a seller. So I'm profiling here a seller account, somebody who will be selling parts. Very easy step. It's a 3-step process. As you can see, there's step 1, step 2, step 3, basic information, your name, your email, your phone number, your password. You move on to the next screen, your company name, your phone number, and this is where you select the manufacturers you represent. This is basically what will determine how you will operate on this platform. You can choose as little or as many as you want. If you represent only one manufacturer, it's okay. If you represent 20, it's okay as well. Essentially what that means is that anybody's requests for those manufacturers will come to you and you will be alerted about those requests. You complete the registration process with the 3rd step here, address, agree to the terms, and essentially you hit register and you will be registered with a confirmation email. This will complete your registration email. You will get a link where you have to activate the account. Once there is a link from your email, you are fully ready to go and you can log back in. So once your email confirmation is done, the account is 100% successfully activated. You are free to go back in and log in with your email and your password. Very easy. Once you're in your account, you'll have this managed profile. Again, all this information you put in while registering, you can change it, you can update it. Very basic thing you find on any kind of profile similar to this. So let's speak about how this operates. You basically have a portal, a dashboard, where you will receive requests. And what we are looking at here is your main parts requests, which right now for this example I have 1. So there is a customer out there that is looking for capacitors. Now I know this is nothing special. For our webinar, we just picked some generic test examples here to show you guys, but they're looking for 10 run capacitors. If I want to find out a little more information about it, I can click this details and it will take me to a detailed screen of the order. Now, we don't have the right picture matching up with the capacitor, but again, we are working off a test example for the sake of the seminar here. Now, the point of this detail page is that the potential HVAC buyer gives you as much information as possible. You, as the manufacturer's representative, as the vendor, have this information and you can assess what part is really required. A lot of times, they may be asking for parts that don't really correspond to the unit model and serial number. So the point of this is you're not just selling blindly. You are giving the buyer a supply house or manufacturer's rep experience, meaning that whenever I need parts for specific equipment, the first thing I start off is model and serial number. I may not even know my part name. I may not know my part number. Our techs sometimes, they know it's some kind of a motor, but the part number is not even accessible, or the motor number, model number is not accessible. Basically, we say, hey, listen, I have a model number and serial number of the equipment. Here's a picture of the motor. The manufacturer's rep now takes that email that we sent him and he looks it over. He's familiar with the equipment. He's got all the cut sheets of the parts, and he goes, you need part A, B, and C. And this is exactly where Get My Parts really derived the idea from, is that you're not just spelling out the part name that somebody has to match up based on just part number. You're getting a picture, you're getting a description, you're helping a customer out. And over here is when you can fulfill their order, you can basically just hit the button and place your bid. What does placing your bid mean? It means you give a price for fulfilling this order, which is a quantity of 10 units. And your order to the customer will appear as this, because here is the fee for what we do, for Get My Parts. The fee is 6%. So 6% of your price will be taken out, and the customer, the buyer, will end up paying this price. The only other variable you give the potential buyer here is the amount of lead time it will take you for these parts, because when you deal in service and HVAC service and parts, the two most important things will be price, and above price will be delivery time. That is also very important. Once you're good with this, you can place your bid. As you can see here, now on my dashboard, this order is placed. So now the parts buyer has your bid, and they potentially have other bids. And we're going to go with a scenario that they actually placed the order and they chose you to fulfill that order. So you will get the status of order placed. There's a lot of possibility that they went with a different vendor. And because they went with a different vendor, your status will be order rejected or order not placed, or something different. But order placed means it came to you. Your job is now to fulfill this order. So the next logical step you would do is basically you would procure your shipping details. You find out how you're going to ship this out, and you're going to share it with the buyer. And when you go to the details screen of your order again, now you can fill out exactly what your shipping details are. You also have an opportunity to cancel this order. You can say, listen, I thought I had the parts, I didn't have the parts, or I made a mistake on the price. You still have an opportunity here to cancel if the need arises. But and this is what it would look like if you canceled the order. But other than that, if you are shipping it out, you'd give the shipping information, the shipper, the tracking ID. You'd obviously physically ship out this order, and you would wait for the delivery by the HVAC parts buyer. Once you physically ship this out, the HVAC parts buyer now waits for the shipping to arrive. Once it's arrived, there's a system for them to approve their delivery, and your funds get released to your account. So as you place orders here, you have an earnings report that you can look at. And for our example here, we have that one order we fulfilled. But as your business grows, you will have a whole history of exactly everything you do around here. Here's an example of multiple orders that are happening. We have orders that are in progress. We have new orders that come in. You can see their status is different. You can see that the details page is highlighted, so you're able to come in here and potentially fulfill the orders. You have canceled ones. You have orders that are already shipped out and the customer is waiting for them. You have ones that are delivered. Perhaps there's ones in review because something may be in question. So as a seller on the Get My Parts platform, the concept is very simple. You do very little to no amount of work. You register, you specify what manufacturer you represent, and then you just wait for requests to come in. And again, it is your choice on Whether or not you want to fulfill the requests, it is your choice on how you want to price the requests. And if you ever want to use the platform, it's your choice, but obviously we want you to use the platform. So what I gave you guys was a quick demonstration of the platform based on a seller account. Um, if you want more in-depth walkthrough demonstration, I am more than happy to do so. There is one and only one email to get in touch with me, which will be support@getmyparts.us. That email will come to me. And any question, anything you want, I am here. I am more than happy to answer it. I am looking at this platform as a win-win for everybody, as a win for the HVAC technicians that are looking for those parts, as a win for anybody that has HVAC parts that wants to sell them. There is very little to no commitment on your part of being part of this platform. It's just another avenue for you guys to sell. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope we interact more.